Guys, welcome back to Finance for Firefighters with Warren P. Today's episode is going to be talking about cutting costs, specifically where you shop. So the previous episode, we talked about ways of cutting costs for normal things you're wasting money on or spending extra money on. But right now, we're just going to talk about different places to shop and looking at the actual price differences of those spots. Most of us shop all the time for grabbing groceries to cook at work or things like that. But realistically, if you look at it from your own checkbook or your own family's things, it's best if you have a lot of kids or you folks have certain shopping habits, the different places that you shop, what that actually turns into if you just make habits of going to certain places and avoiding other ones just for reducing costs.
Examples of how shopping at different stores and different places just habitually will make a significant difference on savings, and then in turn in investments if you decide to invest the savings that you have achieved. So the examples we're going to use are going to be primarily just for groceries, because that's the most common thing folks shop for. So the first example we're going to look at is looking at convenience versus price. Looked at the average monthly cost of the following items listed here, and we're going to compare the price difference between shopping at a couple of different stores. One that's more convenient, and then other ones that tend to have better prices. So the comparison stores we're looking at are Safeway, which is obviously the most convenient. They're all over the neighborhood. They're nice. They're pleasant stores to go into. They have pretty much everything you need, but you do pay for the convenience in that. Versus the comparison is if you shopped at Costco and Walmart, which may be a little more work for you or a little extra out of the way, but you're going to get better prices at those stores. So if we look at the cost of average for the price of goods or a cost of all those goods we listed before, Safeway is about a little over $300 a month. And then if you bought those same items between Costco and Walmart, you're spending about $230 a month. So a savings of about $78 per month. The next comparison we're going to look at is buying something new versus buying something old. So depending on the things you spend money on, buying things used, you're going to save significant money on them. So new versus thrift store or Facebook Marketplace, garage sales, Nextdoor app, and a lot of those different things that you can do in your area to be able to buy things used, right? And things that come to mind, at least for my example for my family, is children's sporting equipment, right? I've got 3 boys. They grow out of stuff fast. They're really not working through it too much, like their skiing equipment or even soccer cleats when they're really little. Books, things like that are pretty common for kids stuff. And then for me personally, I like to do a lot of woodworking stuff. So tools and things that I don't necessarily need to buy brand new from Home Depot. I might be able to get some of that stuff on Facebook Marketplace or at garage sales for a pretty significant discount. So the example here I'm going to use is going to be one of those, and I'm actually going to use a pretty conservative estimate saying you can get these things for about half off. So looking at new versus old, I'm using the assumption that we're spending about $1,000 a year between all of the items listed before, with a lot of the kids, sports equipment, books, things like that, or even tools. I'm saying, hey, if you spend $1,000 a year buying them brand new, you'd spend a little over $83 a month. And if you got a discount of about half that price, or $500 for the year, it'd be about $41. So the difference would be obviously the same amount. That half of that would be the other $41 that you saved per month. The next thing we'll look at is shopping for organic food. I know a lot of folks, a lot of firefighters tend to be pretty health conscious and buy a lot of organic food for obvious reasons. But as we know, organic food is extremely expensive. It's one of those big ticket items that a lot of folks spend money on. So we're going to run a comparison between shopping at Whole Foods, which is more convenient and has pretty much everything you need, versus splitting it up and say, hey, I'm going to buy some of the stuff at Trader Joe's, which also has a lot of organic food. And then if you bought meat from a rancher, let's say you bought a half a cow and maybe a full pig from an organic rancher that raises organic animals. So same similarities that we have between the first example of shopping for convenience, but these are all the list of items that we're comparing between going to Whole Foods versus getting the items between Trader Joe's and a rancher for the same quantity. So shopping at Whole Foods, you're spending about almost $700 a month for that list of items there. And then if you went to Trader Joe's, bought a half a cow and a hog from a rancher, you'd spend about $430 a month, for a difference of about $265 a month. So if we look at the total monthly savings for all those different examples we ran, the one for convenience saved you about $78 a month. If you go new versus old, that'd be about $40 a month and some change. So a total between the two of those things, let's say you only do those things, would be about $120 a month. And then if you were somebody who shopped it for organic food exclusively, splitting up between Whole Foods or buying Trader Joe's and going through a rancher to get your meat, would be about $265 a month savings. So if we look at the savings that we got for the first example, if we're saying that we buy things for convenience and we put together in the buying things new or used part of that, if we assume a 7% interest rate and we're saving about $120 a month, let's say that we invest that instead of just putting it in a savings account. In 5 years, it'd be about $8,000. After 10 years, it'd be $20,000. And then after 20 years, it'd be about almost $60,000 through investing money that you'd be saving on regular expenses that you make. Here's an example of how much you'd save if you were if your family was ones that shop for all organic food. So assuming the 7% interest rate, same that we did in the previous example, and that we're saying that we saved a little over $264 a month by shopping at Trader Joe's and getting your meat through an organic rancher versus going to Whole Foods. In 5 years, it'd be about $18,000. After 10 years of this habit, you'd have about $43,000. And then 20 years of doing this, you'd have $130,000 that you would have acquired over investing and reinvesting the money that you saved by just changing where you shop.
So we've seen through some of these examples the significant impact that you can have on reducing costs just by changing up where you shop. Certain places have a lot cheaper prices than other places do. We already kind of, I think, knew this intuitively because we tend to see how much more our bill is in certain areas. But if you can really dial in the spots that you shop at, places that you shop at, or different things you can do really from home, you'll see some significant savings and wealth building by just trimming your budget down in that regard. All right, thanks for joining me today on Finance for Firefighters with Warren P. Same as always, if you guys have any comments, leave them below. Give a thumbs up if you like it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.